Hello, welcome to the AMTC 2022 interview series. In this episode, I have been joined by Arno Held from AM Ventures. Hi Arno.
Hi Richard.
Thank you for joining me again. So it's been a year since we last caught up, and there's been lots going on across the additive manufacturing landscape. So from your perspective as managing partner of AM Ventures, what are the key developments that you can point to in the last 12 months?
Really exciting developments, both positive and negative, of course. We are in interesting times, but what excites me a lot, great statements about our industry, is that applications are growing, continue to grow.
Yeah.
Last year already we saw 48% of the startups that we scouted based on an application. This year it's 55%, so this segment is growing. And we all agree, applications are the justification for our work. This is what our industry needs, and therefore this is a great confirmation of the whole work that we are doing, and it's very exciting.
Okay, applications are absolutely the thing that drives everything else across the whole industry, aren't they? But if I was to put you on the spot, what are the top 3 innovations or startups that people should maybe put on their watch list?
3 is a very small number because there are so many great companies out there, so many great startups doing really, really impressive work. If you were to put me on the spot for just 3, I would probably name some that are here today at the event, of course.
Yeah.
Headmade Materials is a company that has developed a very impressive process and material where you can produce metal parts in a polymer machine with a lot less energy, a lot of very exciting applications behind it. So this is certainly one. I do like Bella Zeno. Bella Zeno is also a startup team from Germany that has developed a manufacturing process and a material to produce resorbable pressed implants and bone scaffolds. A polymer material that is implanted into the human body and fully resorbed by the body. And it's actually not only a theory, it is happening at the moment. We have patients out there with pressed implants that have been resorbed by the body. And this is very exciting for our industry.
That is a big deal, yes.
Absolutely. And the third, it's not necessarily a startup. There are startups involved in this, but what excites me a lot is the Lego product launch that you might have heard.
Yes.
Lego launching a 3D printed product available for consumers, a duck. A really nice little duck that is colored and blasted and has a very nice surface finish. And the exciting thing about this is that finally a 3D printed product has made it through the product introduction channel in Lego, in the world's biggest toy manufacturer, to be available for consumers to buy this product.
Absolutely.
This is a revolution.
Big deal.
It's a big statement for additive manufacturing as a mass manufacturing high volume technology.
And you get the feeling it's just the first of many with Lego. I do. That when I saw it, I thought, oh, here we go.
This company would not do this exercise if there wasn't a very big plan with many more releases behind it.
And a business model in place to sustain it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're here at the AMTC event, and you're a partner for the startup event. That took place mostly over yesterday. So what really excited you yesterday? What did you sort of see? What sort of feeling did you get from it?
I was most excited by the level of exchange and of interaction, the high level of interest from big corporations and industry leaders in startups. So what we're seeing is that these two scenes, the large corporations and the small startups, are moving much closer together. I think big corporations are starting to understand that true disruptive innovation can only happen with the help of startups, and that there needs to be a proper and efficient interface, and AMTC conference is such a perfect interface. And we saw this last night then at the networking session, how everyone merged and blended, and we had such great discussions, and I think this is growing from year to year.
And it's helping the startups, but it's also helping the bigger companies as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, we all benefit from each other. Startups need the cooperation with the big guys. They need the contracts and revenue and access to these markets. But corporations also need startups, because startups are companies that are built on a green field. So that means they can adapt to market needs much more quickly than a corporation.
Agile, aren't they? Yes.
And therefore, corporations can learn a lot and benefit a lot from startups.
Okay, so I have a question that's slightly more right of field. I've been wondering this for a little while, and you're the perfect person to ask. So, when does a startup stop being a startup?
This is a really good question. You can very rightly challenge whether a startup that has hundreds of millions US dollar funding and a valuation of more than $1 billion is still a startup, in terms of how long does it exist and how many people does it have.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could rightly say these companies are not startups anymore. I think what defines a startup for me and for many people out there is also the culture. So what kind of tools and methods does a team apply? What is the motivation of a company? Is it there to be founded and grow organically and make a good business for a couple of people? Or is a startup born with the intention to become extremely big, to grow and to become a very successful story for many stakeholders? And therefore I think a startup is not necessarily only a very young and small company. A startup is a company that applies very dynamic tools and very dynamic methods and works with mentors and with strategic advisors to build something very big. Okay. These are startup methods.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my head I'd been thinking it has to be more than funding and just growth and longevity. It has to be more than that. But when do they transition into sort of being an established company? Is that what you were referring to?
Yes. So if you want to put it down into numbers, also from my perspective, a company is becoming very mature once they have double-digit million euro revenues.
Wow.
Because what you can build a company that grows pretty quickly, that generates first revenues in 6 digits, and these are being used to raise some money to grow the revenue to 7 digits. And this can happen with, let's say, pilot projects and joint development agreements, but it's in most cases it's mostly project-based revenue. You have to build a completely different company when you're going 10+ million. The organization needs to be different, the product portfolio needs to be different, the revenue structure has to differ from the early days. So if you want to put it into numbers, the step from single million euro or dollar revenue to double-digit and more is a big inflection point in the life of a company.
And I guess the one other factor that could come into play there also is acquisition.
Oh, absolutely. As soon as you are integrated in a larger group, you certainly lose the status of being a startup.
Well, Arno, on that note, I think we'll probably wrap up, but thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thanks for having me, Rachel. It was a pleasure.